Today we're going to talk about how to incorporate the left foot hi-hat patterns into your grooves and beats. So this can feel incredibly awkward at first, but once you get a good handle on it, it can be an incredibly useful skill. And so some benefits are it'll make your grooves feel nice and grounded, it'll give the band a pulse to lock in with, it can also help free up your other limbs to play some more syncopated ideas while still giving an obvious pulse. So today we're going to cover 3 hi-hat patterns just to get you started, and then you can always get into some more difficult ones later. So we're going to break down a nice step-by-step process going from absolute zero to getting your hi-hat left foot patterns incorporated with your beats and fills. As always, there's a PDF in the description, so just hit the link down below and you can grab that and follow along. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's have a quick chat first about the setup. So usually we're going to play our right hand if you're right hand dominant or our left hand on the hi-hat. But because we're now incorporating the left foot to play the hi-hat, we want to move that arm or limb to a different surface. So I like to use either the ride cymbal, sounds nice, or if you want a nice dry sound, you can use the rim of the rack tom. And this is also really good when you're practicing because then you can hear really cleanly if the limbs are lining up. So the first step is to just move that hand from the hi-hat to either the rim or the ride cymbal. So step 2 is to just walk through the coordination. So this is a really important step because we need to give our body and limbs time to process the information that's going on. If we try to play it at a too fast tempo, then we're just going to make mistakes and our brain's going to get confused as to what the right or wrong information we want to input is. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through each piece of the puzzle, treat it like a puzzle, one step at a time. So we're going to use our rock beat 1. So we're going to play bass drum on beats 1 and 3, snare on 2 and 4, and our ride cymbal is going to be playing 8th notes. So it sounds like this. Okay, so the first pattern that we're going to delve into today is going to be playing quarter notes on the hi-hat. So this is a great place to start. So the hi-hat is going to line up with the bass drums on 1 and 3 and the snares on 2 and 4. So systematically, if we go from the start of the groove, the first is going to be kick, ride cymbal, and hi-hat. Then the next is just going to be a ride cymbal by itself. Then beat 2 is going to be snare, hi-hat, and ride cymbal. And then the 2 and is going to be just a ride. Now the second half of the bar is exactly the same, so we have hi-hat, kick, and ride, just the ride cymbal, snare, hi-hat, and ride, and then just the ride cymbal. If you need to, you can even say it as you play it. So you can go hi-hat, kick, and ride, and then play. And then go just the ride cymbal, play. And this way you're giving yourself plenty of time to know what the next coordination pattern is. And feel free to go as slow as you want. Obviously, we're not using the metronome yet. We're just getting the coordination down because we have to get the coordination first to be able to then practice it in time. So you just want to rinse and repeat this at a really slow tempo until you get the beat down. And no limb or nothing surprising you in terms of coordination wise. So once you can consistently play the 8, well here we're in 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, so there's 8 pieces of coordination here. Once you can play all 8 in a row, then you're ready to move on to step 3. Okay, so once the coordination is down, we can now move on to step 3, which is to add in the metronome. Now I suggest starting really slow, and so we're going to use 40 BPM here. I like to turn the 8th notes on because the more metronome inputs you get, the more accurate you can play each limb in time. If that's too confusing, quarter notes is totally fine, but we're going to start here at 40 BPM, 8th notes, and we're just going to walk through the beat, playing along to the click. Okay, so here we're really aiming for clean limb alignment. So we're making sure that when we play 3 or even 2 limbs, that they're locking in with each other. So we want to avoid flamming. We don't want any, we want to try and make sure that those are really locking in together. And then we're also just trying to make sure that we get a nice hi-hat sound. So I'm using heels up here with the hi-hat. I've done a video on hi-hat technique, so I'll just put a link up here for that. But I'm using heels up and I'm using the sort of bounce technique so I can get a nice chick sound with the hi-hat. So once this is feeling comfortable, then you can just slowly increase the metronome in, say, groups of 5 is a good amount. We're going to increase the metronome up until your desired tempo. And remember, if the beat is falling apart, then it means you're going too fast, and slow down the metronome or go back to walking through the beat piece by piece until that becomes more familiar. All right, so the next step is to play along to music. So now that we've worked on the coordination, we've got the beat together, and we can play it at a nice medium tempo, it's time to use it in the real world. So pick your favorite songs and play along using this groove. And the more you do this, the more it's going to become automatic and feel part of you. And it goes more from an exercise to actually being able to use it with a real application. So yeah, just pick your favorite songs, put on some headphones or play along to a speaker, and just loop this beat over and over until it feels really, really comfortable. And then the last step, once that's feeling really comfortable, is to switch it up. So we're going to either A, change the hi-hat pattern, or B, change the groove underneath. So you could keep the quarter notes on the left foot and play rock beat 2. Or we can change the left foot hi-hat pattern. So the next one we're going to cover is playing all the eighth notes. So if we go back to our rock beat 1, the hi-hat is going to play every time the right hand or your dominant hand on the ride cymbal is going to play. This is a really great one that I use on gigs all the time because you can play eighth notes, which gives the band a really strong pulse to lock into, but then you can be a bit more creative and play some more syncopation and some busier rhythms on the ride cymbal, snare, and bass drum. So basically, if you're going to work on this, you would just go through the same steps that we did. So you would choose a groove, choose a hi-hat pattern, break it down step by step. So you're going to go through each piece of the puzzle. Once that's feeling comfortable, then you're going to add in the metronome and start really slow. 40 BPM is a great goal with eighth notes on the click. Then once that's feeling comfortable, you're going to increase the tempo until you hit your desired goal, which could be whatever BPM the song is or just whatever goal you set. Once that's happening, then you can actually use the beat in a real world setting. So you're going to use the beat with the hi-hat left foot pattern along to some music. And then once that's feeling comfortable, great, move on to the next one. The more you do this, the more coordination patterns are going to open up. And also the quicker you're going to learn new patterns. So it might take you a while to get the first few hi-hat and first few groove combinations down, but the coordination does compound. So, if you're doing another groove later, you might have already covered some of that material in a previous groove. So you just kind of keep building up this bank of coordination patterns. And the more you do it, the more automatic it becomes. And the goal is to get to a point where you can play left foot patterns and you can play anything with the other limbs and the left foot doesn't get swayed at all. So that's the ultimate goal. The last pattern we're going to go over is just offbeat eighths, or also known as upbeats. So instead of playing all the eighths, we're going to play the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it sounds like this. So cycle through these steps and just keep building up the coordination until you get to a point where you can use it in a song. And then once you're happy, move on and go for the next one. So you can also take like drumming books and, with heaps of beats and go through them, playing the left foot hi-hat over the patterns that are in there. And if they're written as hi-hat parts, just move the hi-hat to another cymbal or the rim. And then voila, you can use your left foot hi-hat coordination along with the beats playing the other 3 limbs. So over time, this will become more automatic, and it's almost like you've got a percussion player just sitting there playing quarter notes or eighths, but that's just coming from only you. So your bandmates will thank you, especially if you want to do some crazy drum rhythms over the top, but still lay down a quarter note pulse or eighth note pulse for the bandmates to lock into. And it'll also just make your grooves sound more dynamic and add an extra texture there. So, you'll sound like a more intermediate to advanced drummer. Let me know in the comments how you go with this and what your favorite left foot patterns are. Let me know if there's any other video topics you'd like covered. And if you'd like to check out the video on hi-hat foot technique, then click the link here to watch that.